February 23rd, 11:05 p.m. The most searched thing on Google this weekend was the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight that took place last night. Fury got the win in the 7th round. It had 5.2 million searches, according to the Wrestling Observer, but also according to them, that was less than half the searches that Conor McGregor had for his last fight against Cowboy Cerrone. So that shows you MMA is more popular than boxing right now. And Conor McGregor is a bigger star than those guys, even though those guys are definitely huge stars. Deontay Wilder did not suffer a broken jaw or a ruptured eardrum, but he did have bleeding in the ear, which probably wouldn't have helped his balance. And according to reporter Kevin Doyle, he needed 7 stitches to close the cut in his ear. As I reported yesterday, the WWE ticket sales for the Hall of Fame, Raw, SmackDown in Tampa, as well as Wrestlemania is not sold out, but particularly the Hall of Fame and Raw ticket sales are really low. But also for the shows surrounding Wrestlemania that are happening in the Tampa area, other than, I guess, Bloodsport, maybe a few others, they're not selling as well as previous years. I will be there, or the Hannibal TV will be there at WrestleCon with Billy Jack Haynes and Mike McGurk. We will have a table there April 3rd to 4th. George M. Steinbrenner Field. A lot of people feel that Goldberg is going to beat The Fiend in Saudi Arabia this coming Thursday, because Goldberg against Roman Reigns would be a bigger match at WrestleMania than The Fiend versus Roman Reigns. Goldberg looks more like a star than The Fiend. When I saw them together on SmackDown, The Fiend just looked like a fat guy in a stupid outfit. Goldberg looked like an athlete. He looked menacing. And I really hope that Goldberg actually wins that match in a quick squash match. And I would actually like to see Goldberg go on and beat Roman Reigns myself personally, because Goldberg is actually more over to the mainstream public than Roman Reigns is. There's only going to be 7 matches in Saudi Arabia this time, according to a news source in Qatar. WWE gets $50 million for every show they put on in Saudi Arabia. That same news report that I saw had a show on this past weekend's Qatar Pro Wrestling event that had just a massive list of stars on the show. Eric Bischoff, Alberto Del Rio, Enzo, Rob Van Dam, Road Warrior Animal, I believe, was there, British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith Jr., the Hannibal TV champion was there. Just literally like 30 big names. So it must have cost a fortune to bring them all there. Looking at the video from the event, they went to like a big arena, probably held at least 20,000. It did not look anywhere near full. Obviously, the people putting on those events have a lot of money, because I could only imagine what the talent budget would have been to bring all those guys to Qatar. Even flights alone, let alone pay, they all probably took extra pay to travel that distance as well. A lot of people believe that ESPN Plus, if that deal happens with WWE, where the main pay-per-views could air on ESPN Plus rather than the WWE Network, that deal might happen actually before this year's WrestleMania, because apparently they said it would happen in this quarter, which this quarter is before the WrestleMania happens. So it'll be interesting to see if that does happen and how that affects network subscribers. But obviously, they'd be paid a lot of money for that. Billy Jack Haynes checked in with me again today. He did do a phone interview with me the other day about Rip Oliver, the Portland wrestling star that Haynes has been helping take care of. He's still in serious condition in the hospital. Rip Oliver is. He only has 27% of his heart function left with severe COPD. He's still fighting. For Matt Hardy, people are saying, has he re-signed anywhere yet? No, it doesn't appear so. He did give ratings a boost for his matches with Randy Orton, or his encounters with Randy Orton lately. So we'll see what happens. Jeff Hardy was backstage at SmackDown. WWE does not like people going to AEW. They might make him an offer he can't refuse. So we'll see what happens there. A couple questions. Maybe Tyson Fury will be in Saudi Arabia again. Doesn't look like it for this time. No. I think Hogan's going to be there again in some capacity. I believe so, but don't quote me on that. But I've heard that. Who else is the big star there? Goldberg. It's not like a huge lineup. They did have that disaster last time where the talent was stuck in Saudi Arabia for a long period of time. So maybe that's why they're only having 7 matches this time. Richard M says Jeff Hardy's still with WWE. Yes, he's been fighting injuries, and he also had a bunch of brushes with the law. So someone asked me, do I think Lanny Poffo should be in the WWE Hall of Fame? Well, he passes the Coco Beware bar. He did main event a Saturday night's main event against Hulk Hogan, beat Hulk Hogan on that episode. How many people can say they beat Hulk Hogan on a Saturday night's main event? He was in WWE for 8 years. To me, he was more successful than Coco Beware. As far as how was he to deal with in the back compared to Coco Beware? Coco Beware, I asked him to put someone over once, and his exact quote was, "I'm in the Hall of Fame. I'm a legend. I can't put this guy over." Doesn't want to help young talent. Thinks he's better than other people. Someone asked me if I ever slept with a WWE diva. Yes, I have. David Fontaine said, hello from South Carolina. Love your content. Thank you very much. Jay Hazard says, went to the SmackDown Friday night. At least 40% of the arena was tarped off and the crowd was very flat. Well, let me tell you something about, this is the last thing I'll talk about. Tomorrow night's Raw in Winnipeg, they will not have that problem. Much like when they did SmackDown in Vancouver a few weeks ago, they hadn't done TV there for about 20 years. Well, they haven't done TV in Winnipeg for at least 15 years. Plus, Brock Lesnar actually lives in Canada, in Saskatchewan, I believe, which is not too far from Winnipeg. He goes to Winnipeg Jets hockey games and stuff. He is going to be a massive, massive babyface on Raw because he's pretty much the hometown guy there in Winnipeg. So that'll be interesting. And by the way, I've said this before, but since I'm talking about Winnipeg now, Cody Rhodes did say on a recent AEW conference call that Winnipeg would be a natural place for them to do a Dynamite taping. Jericho's the champion. Obviously, that's a guaranteed sellout if they go to Winnipeg. MC, is anyone going to debut at AEW Revolution? Haven't cared at all about that because Great North Wrestling is presenting Annihilation that same night here in Smith Falls, Ontario, Canada. More information at thehannibaltv.com. And I personally am more interested to see what happens between the Faces of Fear, Haku, and the Barbarian against the Blood Hunter and Too Cold Scorpio than anything in AEW. They won't even book the Blood Hunter because he could easily beat anyone on the AEW roster. Unquestionably, for sure. Big Goat says maybe the Hearts will show up in AEW one day. Well, let me see here. I reported yesterday that WWE is looking to bring WrestleMania or SummerSlam to Wembley Stadium in England sometime in the next few years. Davey Boy Smith Jr.'s father, Davey Boy Smith, was part of that massive Wembley Stadium SummerSlam 92 show where he wrestled Bret Hart in that amazing match. And it was sold out in like 10 hours. Davey Boy Smith Jr. appeared on WWE's The Bump show not too long ago. He's still under MLW contract. But I would think that even though I know AEW is interested in Davey Boy Smith, I would definitely think WWE will make him a very good offer whenever his MLW contract expires. I don't know when his MLW contract expires. I will ask him next time I see him. He is wrestling for Great North Wrestling August the 8th in Ottawa, Canada. Tickets for that are at ticketweb.ca. Ted Hart is also scheduled to be on that event. He hasn't told us anything that he won't be on that event. So as of right now, Ted Hart is scheduled to be on that August 8th event in Ottawa as well. Johnny Boy asked my favorite tag team of all time, the Road Warriors. Nothing else even comes close. Hannibal, do I know much about former CFL slash pro wrestler George Wells? He was in the CFL. I don't know nothing about him. Richard M. Is Sylvain Grenier working for WWE now? Yes, he is a producer. He's been out of the business for years. He also was part of the WWE concussions lawsuit. And he is actually, what's interesting about Sylvain Grenier being brought back as a producer, we all know he's close friends with Pat Patterson. Patterson, according to reports, discovered him when he was a male stripper before he even was a wrestler, got him a contract. And if you guys remember, not only did Patterson get Grenier a contract, but he didn't even debut with La Resistance. Maybe you guys don't remember this, but he actually debuted in an angle with Hulk Hogan that fell flat. So it was kind of like pushed away with no explanation given. And then he came back as La Resistance. But it goes to show you the first person that they have brought back to work for them that was involved in the concussions lawsuit is Sylvain Grenier. Demolition were involved in that, Road Warrior Animal, Butch Reed, Kamala. The list is actually huge. I don't know it off the top of my head, but literally a lot. And I find it funny. It just goes to show you the pull Pat Patterson still has it. Sylvain Grenier is being brought back as a producer, even though like he had his own company here, maybe ran 10 shows and went out of business. He stopped running shows and hasn't been doing much over the past 5 or 6 years. He even said it in an interview that WWE posted about him returning to the company, that his boots are in his closet. They'd have to be dusted off if he wrestled again. So what's this guy going to bring to the table as a producer other than maybe being a good stooge? John Cena should face Goldberg. Maharaja says John Cena supposedly is probably going to face Elias as it stands right now at WrestleMania. That's the big thing. But Elias is apparently a babyface, and there's not a lot of interest in seeing that match. So that could change. Big Richard, what are my thoughts on WWE's pay-per-views potentially being streamed on ESPN? Wherever they can make the most money is best for them. So I don't really care. I'm not going to watch them. As I said, I liked Goldberg. I watched the clip on YouTube of him with The Fiend. I do actually like Brock Lesnar as a wrestler. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with him in Winnipeg, the babyface reception. I'll probably watch a highlight of it on YouTube and Twitter but to sit through a 7-hour WWE pay-per-view, you would literally, I'd do it for $500. If someone paid me $500, I would do it. But I don't watch it. I don't have a high attention span. Even boxing and MMA, I really just watch highlights, or if someone tells me that a fight is really good and sends me the link, I will watch it. But I really do not have an attention span long enough to sit through anything. So Fester Hogshead says Gertrude will squeal like a pig to Goldtrude will squeal like a pig to Bray. I don't know. As I said, I don't get that character. It's a baby face. Is it a heel? I don't know. The first time I actually saw him in a ring was taking that spear from Goldberg, and it just looks like a big fat guy in a stupid mask.